They're going to stay conservative, run the ball here on third down. Here's Richardson. He takes it in for his first NFL touchdown. And Pittman takes it inside the 20, the 10, towards the end zone. Touchdown on 2nd and 28. The Colts capitalize. Richardson to Pittman, 39 yards.
Good evening, everybody. We are kicking with the crew. Hope everybody's weekend is going good. Not sure if Matt's going to be on with us or not. He had some family emergency going on. And then Zach and Trev were both out this weekend. But hope everybody's doing well. How you doing tonight, Damon?
Good. It's been a minute. We haven't had a Double D show in what? About 6 months?
It's been a while.
We got one of our wildest debates last year.
Man,
just me and you. So happy to be here. Happy to be back, most of all. But I'm ready to talk about some Colts football, man. What's going on?
For real, man. It's great to be on. I'm still sharing this around. We get some viewers going. Look like we already got a few of our regulars probably in here. The first things first, man. Let's start with the game. Colts losing to the Saints and the way everything went down. How you feeling about last week and how things went?
I think that it was a very interesting game, and something that we didn't talk about a lot this week that I thought about more was the start we got off to and how we finished. We were hot at the beginning of that game. Defense had a couple, I feel like key errors, but we were moving the ball down the field really well. Defense, for the most part, was doing okay. And then it's just like our feet got covered in concrete in that second half. Nearly every key position. I guess I can give you kind of both sides of the coin here where my head is at. We got to be more committed to running the ball flat out on offense. I love Coach Deichen's game plan for the most part, but Jonathan Taylor looked very good. Like I think they said that he's nursing a little bit of an injury, but even Zach Moss got pretty out of cue in the offense, and kind of with everything that Deichen stands for, which is kind of trying to avoid playing behind the chains. It seemed that we were doing first, second, and third down, and we just can't do that. We're not built right now to be a throwing offense, whether we like it or not. Defensive side of the ball, I could kind of get into little bits and pieces everywhere. I think DeForest played really well, but outside of that, edge-wise, I didn't see a lot of pressure. Where is Samson Ebukam? Where's he been? We were letting Yannick Ngakoue have it this time of the year last year, and he turned it on for us. So I'm kind of expecting the same from Samson, considering that was a plug-and-play guy for us. Linebacking core, EJ, Zaire looked pretty good. Shaq, where you at? Secondary-wise, safeties looked pretty good. I know that there's a couple miscues on the safeties end when it came to a couple of them deep balls. But, corner, man, we kind of know we're going to go with this. I think we can have a whole episode talking about that. So that's just kind of how it's going to be. Tying into Nathan's question right here, can we put Kenny Moore outside and let Tony Brown play his natural spot inside? No, because Kenny Moore is one of the best slot corners in the league. And that's an edge I think you get on defense with having him out there. So I don't see the value in that because I think Kenny's is not built for being an outside corner. So,
yeah, man. It was just a lot to unpack as far as the way that game goes. Like, as we all sat here and said it last week, there was really nothing on that Saints team that scared us, and we still let something find a way to scare us. It's
always something random with the Colts.
No disrespect to Rashid Shaheed, but come on, man. 138 yards I think he had and two touchdowns.
160, 158, 168. One of those 3 receptions, 168, 2 touchdowns.
Ridiculous stats to sit there and put up. And then just going back to what you said about Samson, this is the way that I've been feeling since the last couple weeks is what I was thinking when I was telling you guys. I was like, our defensive line has regressed. It's like, what happened? Through the first 4 weeks, we were one of the best defensive lines in the league.
With pressures.
With
sacks.
Sacks, forced fumbles, and we have just not seen it. And the crazy part about it is when we went against the Los Angeles Rams, their left tackle was getting beat to sleep and we couldn't even take advantage of that matchup. Then we played the New Orleans Saints, and still, even after playing us, they're still one of the worst pass protection teams, and we didn't even get to Carr. We didn't even breathe on the guy. Um, so that was been two of the things. So as much as we want to play or want to play some blame on our corners, which absolutely need, because there's just no way you can just let some of that stuff happen. And then some of the things that I said about Gus, just like with the miscommunications continuing to keep happening. Where's our pass rush? This it has to come back. And I
And
understand Grover being out is one of those things.
there we go. That's detrimental
Yeah,
too. But
it's,
my frustration for this, bro, is so much deeper. It's the fact that for the last 7 years with Ballard as a GM, we have put nearly every free agent, every bit of draft stock we've had into quote unquote building the trenches, and we're banged up on both ends of the side. Both sides of the ball, offense and defensively. It's just oh, it gets me angry thinking about it. You know what I mean? We've swung and missed on so many key additions to build an interior, defensive line. It's ugly, man. It's ugly.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's one of those things where it's tough because it's like we've seen it. We've already seen this defensive line play well, and maybe we're missing pieces, maybe corners just a little bit. It's one of those things where we just can't let this keep snowball. Like we got to get back to what we do. The whole reason I think about it and bring it up is because of the fact that we face another weak offensive line this week. And if this team is another one of those where we can't take advantage of anything and beat this offensive line, we got a problem.
Yeah, massive,
So,
massive. And then tying in like Josh's comment right here. First off, love the show. Look forward to every week. But I think that offensively is in a good spot. Do you think the draft and free agency should be mainly defensive? Josh, I would say that there's been kind of a shock and change in everybody over the last couple weeks, and I think we all kind of agree with you here. Um, I think that we have seen the defense, like DeMarco just said, regress unfortunately up front, but I would like to see some of that capital spent on, I would say, defensive pieces. My personal opinion, after drafting 3 rookie corners last year, if there's a so-called star out there, or I say B plus, A minus guy that we can go sign, I think veteran presence is deeply needed at the cornerback
Brian
position.
Burns. Brian Burns.
I'm talking about secondary.
For
I'm
back-to-back years, the Carolina Panthers haven't gotten rid of him at the trade deadline,
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
paid him. It's one of
I
those
think
things.
that I'm not for. I was just saying I'm not for drafting another rookie cornerback, man. At this point, I want a veteran, a B plus, A minus guy. You want to bring in another third or fourth round corner, that's fine with me. But we are extremely young and non-experienced at that position. Receivers are only getting better. I promise you that. So yeah, that's kind of my point. What do you think here, DeMarco?
Um, Yeah, so first off, I just want to say appreciate you, Josh, for liking the show and coming in every week. I also think offense is good. I haven't gotten to the point. I actually changed my name before we hopped on the show. It was going to be thinking about the draft, but I ended up going with Gus or the players because of the fact that, like Damon just said, we can bitch and moan about defensive coordinators and stuff like that all we want to, but at the end of the day, guys are on the field and playmakers make plays. So if you got guys that can play football and be at an elite level, then your coaching is just gonna look better because of the fact that you guys that can make plays. So like Damon said, I think personally, if I was to sit here and think about where we should go about draft or free agency, I personally want the Colts to go after a guy like Brian Burns, and then go pick up a veteran corner such as the Bears corner Jalen Johnson, who's pretty pissed off about not getting paid. And then you see them just pay the pass rusher
Massive
that they just traded
extension.
for Josh Sweat. So he could potentially be a free agent. Then you got Brian Burns, who would be unhappy. So I mean, obviously those guys can get franchise tag, but yeah, I think for defensively, I think you should go get some veterans that are playmakers, that are instant game changers to make differences, because we already seen what this offense can do. And bringing back Anthony Richardson, I mean, looking at our offense, I mean, as long as he can stay healthy, this offense can easily average 40 if we're getting the ball back from the defense. And then what's up, Ashley? Seen it there. Mark Lane's just chiming in on here. Seems like there's always a QB setting records on our defense. I mean, yeah. I mean,
That I feel like
it's
that's been going on
ridiculous.
for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's been going back since
And
since
sometimes
Peyton
we win
Manning
those games.
days. Yeah,
Sometimes we won those games.
those have been going back to Peyton Manning days. I don't know if any of you guys remember, but when Brandon Marshall went crazy and had his 21 catch game.
Big
I
Ben
mean,
threw for like 600 yards on us, didn't he?
yeah,
With Andrew Luck.
yeah. So it's just been one of those things. But yeah, man, we'll see how it goes there. But I think we definitely need to start improving. Um, and it's just I feel like we've got to fix this back end. Whatever the communication thing issue is, and it looks like we've been a revolving door at corner since camp. So
Yeah, and
it's tough to sit here and want to consistently go at the DBs at the same time because if you look at our cornerbacks, we went from our starting two all the way back from March all the way down. Right now, we're playing with practice squad guys at cornerback outside of Jalen Johnson, who we drafted, and then we still get no Juju Brents back. So, like me and Damon said from the jump, I think this comes down to defensive line. Get back to putting pressure on the quarterback because if they can get back to pressuring the way that we thought that this team would, then it'll solve a lot. And those guys don't have to cover all day. We don't have to worry about miscommunications if you're going off on offensive lines and forcing them to throw. So that's what I. Uh, so how'd you feel about our defense, or not our defense, our offense versus the New Orleans Saints defense? I know you mentioned something about we need to commit to the run. But how are we feeling there?
I'm loving it. I mean, like I'm loving some of the play calls I saw. Obviously, I think we're more committed to the running game there. We put ourselves in better positions. The turnovers are still killing us. You know what I mean? But in my opinion, you know what I mean? Something I would like to see is us draw up Josh Downs open more. Like I want to start seeing us call plays for him, get him open because the guy's dynamic. I mean, I think that we have a lot more in the tank with him on the field than what we see every week. I think there's a lot more there than we could see. Um, but tight end group kind of showed up okay, not the best. But like we've seen kind of so far this year is that every week is kind of called for a new tight end to get involved in the offense.
Yeah,
We get those weeks where um, Will Mallory's in, Will Mallory's out. So that's kind of how I feel about the offense. It's kind of a mind blowing thing to watch the quote unquote high scoring offense in the league consistently lose. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or we can never put it all together for 4 quarters. It's just the weirdest thing in the world.
yeah, man. That's one of those tough things. I honestly, it's like I think about the fourth quarter, the fourth quarter thing, and it's just tough to continue scoring for fourth quarter. So what I'm looking at here is our pure point total. Like if you look at what our defense did last year versus this year, we'd literally be about 6-2 or 7-1 if our defense could do what they did last year to start that first half of the season. The problem is we're dead last in defense. We give up 28.9 points per game on defense. So when your offense has to sit there and keep depending upon like our backup quarterback and now more offensive linemen. So I don't know if everybody's heard out there, but Braden Smith is out and Break Freeland is also hurt and he is questionable to play tomorrow. So now we're questionable at right tackle. And
Sam
so
Tevy.
no, never again, never again. But yeah, so it's just one of those situations where it's like we have to sit there and keep revolving at offensive line now and depend upon this offense to score. It's going to get troublesome for us. Luckily, we do have the Panthers, and they're not like the most high scoring offense, playing with a bad offensive line, rookie at quarterback. They don't have the most explosive weapons. Obviously, we're going to make somebody on that team look like a goat of wide receivers just because that's what we do every Sunday. But I think this defensive line has to get back to what they were doing. They have to bring it up amongst themselves. Quiddy just hasn't been the same since the concussion when he had to miss that week. We're obviously down Grover to put pressure. We're going to need one of these defensive linemen to step up, or defensive tackles to step up outside of DeForest Buckner, because all it's been is pretty much, all right, we're just going to double Defo and we're going to chip your defensive ends. And it's, can you get pressure after that? And guys are just running back past
Yeah,
our
I'm not
corners who
dependent
can't
on
communicate.
Taven Bryant. Not depending on that.
Yeah, so we need Quiddy Pay to get back to what he was doing. We need Samson Ebukam to get back to getting pressure on guys the way he started. Um, yeah, man, it's just one of those things where you want to see it be consistent. But real quick to this comment here, Nathan is saying, so you don't get a lockdown corner first round, then go get a receiver from LSU neighbors. So yeah, there's plenty of receivers. I don't want to get too much into it because I still think we're in it. I don't think this is something that you can count us out. And the fact that we're sixth in scoring in the league, if our defense can just get back to what they were doing those first couple of weeks, the first month of the season, then we'll be all right. But it's just one of those things that, like, there's plenty of receivers to get, and like Damon said, we need veterans on this team at certain positions, and corner is going to be that one. We can't just keep depending upon Kenny Moore and wanting to ask to see if maybe he can move outside. It's just, it's detrimental to your team. So we gotta figure out some other way to get this going. Indy ZTV, go Colts, appreciate you. One of our newcomers, one of our favorite fan favorites here. Good day, lads. Our defensive line doesn't get pressure needed to help the defensive backs.
none at all.
Exactly. And so that's one of the things that we were talking about. These young corners, we gotta get more pressure back again with the defensive line. Um, yeah, and then right here, Josh is saying, agree with you. I think Alec Pierce is coming around, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm not totally out on Alec Pierce when I say receiver. I just think the fact that, like, we can't be one of these teams that are scared to just have stacked weapons. Like, you look at some of these other teams that are making runs to the playoffs and Super Bowl runs and stuff like that. You know, I'd be I'd be really wrong to not think that we could have another receiver. I think Alec Pierce, like, everything he catches is for a first down. So I think that's one of those things where we want that guy. We want to keep getting Josh Downs involved. Obviously, like I told you guys last week when Michael Pittman was upset, I don't know how many targets he had, but like I said, I was pretty sure he was going to have like 12 to 15. And if that number is pretty close to that, you guys can understand why. So, um, just one of those things where we want to have more weapons, and then when AR comes back, we know what he can do to help this offensive line. So we just got to get back to this pass rush, and I mean, even if I go back to that draft comment, I wouldn't be too surprised if the Colts went and tried to get a top tier pass rusher. I mean, I don't know if they do it in the draft or in free agency, but that's what I'm also thinking we need. We need to get that Dwight Freeney or Robert Mathis back in the building. So I think that's something that we need to be able to start closing games out. Hey, what's up, Caleb? Caleb White, look like
Welcome.
a newcomer. Bengals Nation for life. Appreciate you coming in to view us from the Cincinnati side. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. uh, Mark Lane is saying, I do think if AR is playing, we win versus the Browns and the Saints. Tough to say. I
There's so
mean,
many
we gave
anomalies
up
in those kind of,
we
you
yeah,
know,
we gave up 39 to Cleveland. We gave up 38 to New Orleans. It's tough to say that he wouldn't make a rookie mistake just because he still is a rookie, even though AR was playing very well. So I'm not trying to discredit that. But it's just tough to throw the ifs in the stuff out there. But either way, like we said, our defense, we can't keep giving up 28, 29 points a game. We're just not going to win in this league that way. And it only takes what, one right tackle to be out for your offense to have a bad day. So, like Damon said, we need to get back to ground and pound, RDTB, um, RTDB, my bad, and let Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss work and run over these guys, man. We got to get back to running the ball.
yeah, Chris, I'm sorry, man, but we don't purposely want to send players to a medical tent, man. That's just, come on.
Yeah, I just been kind of annoyed
That's
now.
we don't wish that upon anybody in any form. Hey, okay, Willie, they got us in another high scoring output game. So
Yeah. So I saw the Horseshoe Mob podcast, the one that Josh is in. I thought it was pretty funny that him and his crew, they all gave their game prediction or whatever, and they all had the Panthers predicted to be under 20. And I said, that's bold of you guys to think that the Colts ain't gonna give up more than 20. So, I hope that could be the score. You got the number pretty closely. That looks like what our numbers could be. We just need this defense to play well. Hey, we got our guy Trev coming in here, commenting saying no answers in the secondary, no adjustment from Gus. We give out free tickets to the end zone. We sure the hell do. That brings me to my next question, Damon. So, as we've sat here and talked about it a bunch, uh, what is it? What was I about to say? So just like my name says, what are we thinking about this? Because I've been on the separate spectrum of it. I mean, towards the end of the week, just because of the fact that I saw, all our conversations from everything online at Twitter, even you guys in the group chat talking about it and whatnot. Some people give Ballard a pass and say, what is he supposed to do? Go out and sign some older cornerback like Casey Hayward, who's old and was hurt or whatever. But then people put it on Ballard. He shouldn't have put Tony Brown in that situation. And then you get the other third side of it where it's Tony Brown, you suck, you got burnt. What would be your opinion on this situation? Is it Gus or is it the players? Because as a player, you got to go out and make plays, do your job, and compete. And Gus, as a coach, you got to put your players in the best position to succeed and win. What you got on this take, man?
I hate saying this, but it's both. Like I hate not being able to pinpoint one aspect. You know what I mean? Because at the same time, you know what I mean. When you're thin at a position group, you have to be able to scheme up, and you have to be able to adjust. Just like Dave just said, as I on cue as I said it, Gus has not adjusted, bro. And we lose these games dating back to the Eberflus era with this bend don't break defense. I mean, how many times have we seen a quarterback be able to get the ball between a linebacker and a safety for 15, 25 yards? I would say teams are more liable to convert a 3rd and 15 than a 3rd and 1 against us consistently, right? It's kind of mind blowing to watch that. But if we're gonna go on the Chris Ballard end, right, like away from Gus, what do you do? I mean, I also get the aspect like why bring in a Band-Aid like Casey Hayward? Like what is the point of that? You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, and y'all know I'm the one of the bigger Chris Ballard haters here. I mean, how do you plan for Stephon Gilmore demanding a trade? Isaiah Rodgers gets caught gambling. Your rookie Juju Brents, your best rookie, blows his shoulder out. I mean, that's three CB1s. I realize that. That's 3 number 1 corners that are gone for us at this point. So this revolving door has a lot more to do with just Ballard and his quite a literal ability to get somebody. I mean, the man drafted 3 corners, man. 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're kind of making amends with what we have at this point. So it has to be both for me.
Yeah. So we got Trev coming in here. He said it's a mix of everyone. Ballard had to know we didn't have enough depth back there, though. And we got Dave's saying Gus is still in the Legion of Boom mindset. We don't have those players yet. We got Nathan saying Ballard won't be back next year. He has done nothing in his 7 years. And lastly, David saying it's on both. Gus needs to be flexible, and also players need accountability. So yeah, I'm with Trev on this one. I think it goes everywhere, and so this is one of those situations where I said that I thought that the Colts could be 8-9 on the season if everything was to go perfect for us. 8-9 if everything was to go perfect. And then absolutely nothing has went perfect. And what I mean by that is so when we want to put the blame around, it's like, in my opinion, I think that if you know We knew that Stephon Gilmore wanted out back in April, I think it was March or April when he requested his trade. So you trade him. Boom, he's gone. Okay. Then Isaiah Rogers. You didn't know about him gambling or whatever, but then you end up drafting three corners and you find out that he's getting suspended for gambling. Now you're down your two number ones, and you still draft three corners. At that point in time, I think that's when Ballard has to address these issues. This has been the same thing with any position that we've dealt with Ballard that we always have to wait to see that fans will point out. So you go quarterback. He waited years to address it.
Let's talk about
Left
receiver
tackle.
first. Let's talk about receiver
Yeah, okay,
first.
yeah. Let's go
You-
receiver.
uh,
So
uh,
T.Y. Hilton was retiring, or not retiring, but he was pretty much on his way out. Yeah, we drafted Michael Pittman Jr., but we didn't try and add anybody. We didn't
No,
bring
he was hurt at the end of that year, man. He was
yeah,
hurt.
yeah. No. That's what I'm saying. We
Our
paid
number
him
one
$10
was Zach
million.
Pascal for 6 weeks. Zach Pascal was our number one receiver. Our number two to Michael Harris.
Exactly. And so we sat there and we waited on receiver, cornerback. We did the same thing with left tackle, and then we ended up doing the same thing at cornerback. And so that's four times that we've seen the same thing. And you know what they say about insanity. I mean, it's repeating the same thing, expecting a different result. And that's what we've been doing. And then Ballard corrects it the final year. And so that's that leap that I need him to take to get over, because he has to start addressing it sooner. And so once Isaiah Rogers, you know he's going to be suspended for a year. You come in, you draft three corners, and then you have an undrafted guy, and you have another guy who's pretty much a rookie in Dallas Flowers, and then Baker's the undrafted guy that I'm mentioning. My bad for not saying names. That's not good of me. But yeah, so you go into the season with those guys, and you had time to still address corner then. And then everything else happens, and boom, we're back in a situation where we have no guys to play. Now we get to Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley, your system has been crap. I'm just gonna be honest about it.
Let's use the word flawed. It's been flawed, completely flawed.
It's been flawed, and it's not working. We clearly do not have the pass rushers that are forcing quarterbacks to get the ball out of their hands and make bad decisions. We gotta get that fixed. That has gotta change. We gotta start protecting our players a little bit more. And building a scheme that can protect them. And this is one of those things where I go back to, we had a lot of guys that were down, kind of rotating, so we have the miscommunications. It's just another situation where things do not go perfect for the Colts to be able to help fix, because when you got rookie guys and you got guys rotating, we have these communications. So it's another thing that goes in with Gus, and then just a bad situation for us to be in, to not have the communication. But at the end of the day, I need you to be the defensive coordinator that's going to put guys in position to do better. We got to start protecting these guys, maybe send more blitzes, mix up the coverage, mix up the fronts. You gotta start working some of that through, to start figuring out better positions to put guys in. And then lastly, on the players. At the end of the day, players got to go out and make plays, and we don't have the guys that are making those plays. And that a little bit goes back to Ballard. But if you're on the field, you're a pro-level guy, you got to go out and make plays. So where I would personally put the blame at this point in time, I'm putting it on Ballard, just because of the fact that, you can try and go make more additions or something, try and do something to make a little bit of change. But it's just, we got the perfect storm that always comes against us. It's just one thing after another. Something just always hits us, and we are definitely, I feel like we are definitely cursed. It's one of those teams that just stuff always gets in the way. Marcus saying it's on Gus all the way. Players are leaving because they never see any real change. I also pit a lot of this on Irsay.
Yeah, I mean, you could put a combination of that in the free agency aspect too. Completely. You know what I mean? Remember Funches? Ashley, I do, because he went for like 85 yards and 3/4 against the Chargers and blew his shoulder.
Blew his rotator cuff. Yeah,
Rotator cuff out, was out for the whole season.
It was done.
Never got him back.
Done. Yeah. It's a reason why no big name defensive guys don't want to come here because of Gus. I mean, I doubt that's why, because you can get big big name guys for money and whatnot, but it's just we haven't been in a stable position for guys to just want to come. So
Yeah.
it's not like we didn't bring Stephon Gilmore in here. It's not like we didn't trade for Yannick Ngakwe. So that's why I'm not saying I'm putting it all on Ballard, because that's another one of those things that Ballard has shown that if we're ready to win and compete, that he will most certainly go out and get guys. And so just it's a tough one. Um, why don't we play Amir Speed?
Because
Actually,
he's not better than anybody we have.
he just got there. I mean, he was already he's already
That
a
man had a
practice
workout.
squad. Yeah, I mean, he was already a practice squad guy. He barely just got there, and
He's
so
still in the street clothes.
yeah, so he's just not ready yet. Um, right. But what did Gus do? Chase Gilmore away.
I don't want to say that
So
on. I don't want to say that's on Gus. I don't want to say
yeah,
that's on Gus. That's
it's
more on the
not.
team.
That's not on Gus. I mean, if any veteran player, like I'm hoping, I'm hoping he never does. But DeForest Buckner, I'm shocked he still hasn't wanted to get out of here. When you got a veteran player that wants to go compete for championships, um, it's not tough to sit there and say, y'all, like, I want to stick around and just see how it works out. Like, veteran guys will not want to stick around; they're going to want to leave. So, just one of those situations that you don't get guys sticking around very much on. So, uh, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. All right. So coming up this week, we got the Carolina Panthers. What is your matchup that you're looking for the Colts versus the Panthers? Biggest matchup.
It's got to be our defensive line and their offensive line. We got to bring pressure. Bryce Young has looked horrible under pressure this year. Their offensive line is horrible. Once again, another offensive line we're playing that is battered, not healthy, not good. Simple as that. You know what I mean? We've just got to be able to perform as a unit when it comes to that front seven. And if we do, I think that we can make Bryce a little worried and cost him those rookie mistakes. But I'm just going to make this clear. Bryce Young did not look bad last week. You know, he made some big boy throws. He seemed to be putting it together a little bit. But when my key matchup comes to play, it's got to be their offensive line, our defensive line, 100%.
Yeah, that's a big one. Since you did go that one, I'm not gonna go with the same one as you. What I'm gonna go is I'm gonna go with our running game versus their run defense. Their run defense is terrible. It's terrible. So we need to take full advantage, run the ball at them, run it a lot, run it down their throat, and take advantage of the mismatch that we can get with our running game versus their run defense. So we should be able to beat this team. They obviously got their first win last week versus Houston, so they're going to be riding pretty high. Hopefully, they're kind of thinking they got it rolling, and we can come out and play tough against those guys. But yeah, I think we need to run the ball. What are you expecting from this game? What would you expect? Obviously, we've had a lot of matchups that we would think the Colts would come in and dominate and whatnot, but it clearly goes the opposite of what we think a lot of the times. So what are you expecting from this game?
The sweet spot for me as a rushing attack has got to be 38 to 40 carries between both backs, period.
Are you expecting to see that?
I'm expecting to see that, and it's a need.
Okay.
It's a blatant need. Our offense moves so much better. Our passing game looks significantly better, as any passing game would when your running attack is looking good. I'm expecting to see some turnovers here too. I would say that we've just had some allergies when it comes to trying to get the ball, trying to get any turnovers. You know what I mean? When it comes to the last 3 weeks. So I would say a balanced rushing attack, a dominant rushing attack, and force some turnovers. And I think we win this game easy. If we do those two things. Will we do those two things? We'll find out at noon tomorrow, because we've seen a lot of flip-flops over the last couple weeks.
We did get some turnovers against the Browns. The problem was that we had 4.
And we capitalized off of what, 2 of them? Two of them maybe? You know what I mean? It got 6 points out of both. So that's what it comes down to. And also, let me add this too. Sorry to butt back in, but what are the Panthers even averaging points-wise per this season? I'm gonna say 18 to 20.
I don't even know if they're averaging.
if even that much. Simple math here, guys.
Yeah. So I would say I'm expecting this game. You
Hi,
know,
Stacy.
actually, I'd probably put it the opposite of what we normally would think. So just like we thought with the Browns, we thought that was going to be a really slow game. Thought it was going to be pretty low scoring and whatnot. Um, I think this one could actually be a lower scoring game where offenses don't really do what you expect them to do. Um, I would expect if we keep scoring down, if we don't let these guys force us into any turnovers, I think we should be able to win. I still think our margin for error is a little bit higher than theirs in this game. Um, but what I would expect is I'm going to expect Frank to possibly overthink this game. Wanting to get some revenge
You
if
don't say?
Indy didn't let go. Probably overthink how he might want to play and scheme up for our players. Um, I think they're going to obviously come out playing hard. I think they're going to want to win this game for Frank, so they might even want to come out and try and get a two-score lead on us. Um, but I think this game would be pretty low scoring. So I'm going to go the opposite of what our score would normally be.
Dave, you got some good points in here. You know what I mean? I
They
mean,
should just to manage the game instead of trying to go to sleep. Yeah, I mean, it's that's been another thing. I do want to say that I was pretty off on the Minshew is turnover prone train, but you in the NFL you kind of are what you are over the last couple of weeks, and Minshew has been turnover prone. I said it before that we couldn't make him the hero, make him be the guy to go out and try and beat everybody, and clearly the plays where he's forced to do a little bit more than he should. It just hasn't worked out, and we gotta if there's gonna be turnovers, it can't be from him. He's
but you
got
also
to.
got to think about this. You also got to think he plays completely opposite to any backup that you would ever expect because he is aggressive. Most backups come in the game, bro. They're going to be dinking dunking down the field. That's
Yeah,
not Minshew's game. It's never been his game. So that's kind of where my head trends towards that. But I mean, I agree with you at the same time. Forcing the ball, chucking the ball down the field, not holding on to the football is not helping your case, bud.
yeah, exactly. So, um, I also want to say so with him being a player with Shane over the last couple of years, I don't think he's like a regular backup though. So it's like when
He's
normal
not.
backups come in, they come in and they're not going to throw him. You're going to be conservative. So it's one of those situations where he just needs to take advantage of what he can, and then just being conservative when he has to be. Don't try and make those tight windows throws. Don't try and do that stuff. Just be smart with the football, and then he's got to stop doing that backpedal. That backpedal where he's looking downfield. I don't want to ever see that again. It pisses me off, and he fumbles every time we see it. So I don't want to keep seeing that. Mark saying, I just hope Shane doesn't try to overthink a lot of things. Keep giving the ball to your best player, Jonathan Taylor. I also agree there, Mark. I think David would also agree with this one, just because of the fact that we can't have guys like in our backfield going for what was it, 70 yards and 90 yards each, and then
And
just
had
stop running the ball.
24
Like,
carries between both of them.
like that's that's got to stop. We can't do that crap anymore. That's got to end. So um, definitely agree. Hope he doesn't overthink things and want to try and outsmart themselves. Just keep running the ball, dude. Keep running the
100%.
ball
I mean,
and let your best players go to work.
Mark, I love what you said here too. I mean, yes, our defensive line, can they get their hands up and start deflecting passes? I really see that. I'm also wondering how well they're practicing that. Of course, we don't have any eyes into that, but I 100% agree with you, especially with a guy like Forrest Buckner, who's a massive individual. um, I'll tell you this. What do you think as far as this offensive line moving forward? Um, have you noticed the penalties the last couple weeks? specifically the false starts and the holds, DeMarco.
Yeah, so I
Have you
don't know.
realized how penalized we've been? We haven't talked about that a lot. We've been one of the most penalized teams in football this year.
I think I don't know. I think it's coming from some of the offensive or defensive lines that we've been facing, and the O line wanting to be more aggressive versus these teams, and so they're just getting caught a little bit more. I also, I haven't mentioned this to you guys personally, but I also think the NFL might be out to get the Colts a little bit. You know, because over the past couple times, Jim Irsay hasn't been able to keep his mouth shut, and the NFL still hasn't fined Jim Irsay for what he said about the refs giving away that game versus the Browns. And I'm starting to kind of think, because just thinking about those few of the penalties that we have been getting or not getting calls, I'm kind of feeling like the NFL might be holding their flag just a little bit different with the Colts there, personally, on some of those calls and just being a little bit more giving them away to other teams and throwing that flag out there.
You're you're
I personally just been feeling that way over the
you're
last
walking a
couple of
tight line
weeks.
there. It's a tight
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
It's a tight
yeah,
line
bro.
walking there.
I think that's what might be going on, because I think some teams, just some days you have rougher days, but the way Shane keeps things so detailed, I think he has guys work on things that are like obvious of what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, just like Gardner Minshew with fumbling and stuff like that with the ball. You could obviously he made that adjustment, making certain throws, being specific ways. I think even with running backs hitting the holes just a little bit harder, and then our offensive line is so much more improved than last year, to where like I don't think it's anything just coming from them. Could just be kind of players kind of rotating on the edges and stuff like that. But I just got this weird feeling that I think the NFL might be a little bit out to get us.
Man, I really loved. Especially like whenever the past. You remember the Saints and Rams game a couple years back?
Yeah, that's
Was
what
that
I'm saying.
awesome?
I mean, like, come on, the Saints receiver clearly got blasted across the chest.
Yeah.
But what did they have before that? They had the bounty gate going on.
Yep.
I just feel like, I mean, I don't know if that's a real thing or
You
not.
walk
I
in.
could just be throwing
I don't
into the
even go
little
there.
stuff,
I don't
but
even go there because I feel like in any circumstance, any professional sport, when that gets brought up, it's just a slippery slope. You know what I
yep,
mean? So
yep.
I just keep it moving whenever those talks kind of come available.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I just looked it up. Couldn't get the exact number, but I want to say the Panthers are averaging around 19 points per game. So they've been up over 20 the last three, but before that they were down to 17, 10, 14. So they're not exactly blowing anybody's doors off. But we thought that about the New Orleans Saints as well, and then they came in and dropped 38 on us. So same thing with the Browns. David saying actually we have had opportunities to get turnovers, but we have not caught interceptions. Plus, we ended up on the wrong side of dual possessions. Yeah, that's definitely true, Dave. We also could have had the forced fumble versus the Browns, but we got the flag pulled us on as well. So that's another one of those things. And Willie Richardson is calling exactly what I was thinking before as well. Frank overthinks every game. So this is one of those situations where I think this has to be a must win for us. I know some fans have jumped on the whole tank train and trying to think about receivers and stuff like that. I think I haven't never really wanted to think about that too much. But if we lose this game to the Panthers, I'm probably on that train. I just can't see how we can lose to this team. Um, all right. Got there. There's some trade stuff going on. Indie TV is shouting us out. Go check us out so you never miss another episode. Follow us on Facebook, stuff like that. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So go check us out, man. Mark is saying, can our defensive line get their hands up and try to start deflecting passes? I rarely see them do that. I'm also wondering how well are they practicing? Um,
I
that's a
kind of
good
touched on
question.
this. I think that anything helps at this point. we don't, we don't have the, like I said, the binoculars kind of into practice every day to see what they're working on. But I would say anything helps. Granted, I think that we're kind of thin at that position group right now. So they're probably looking at a little bit different of a microscope when it comes to practice right now, just continuity and playing as a team. But yeah, That's kind of my thoughts there.
Yeah, man. I think it's one of those things where it's like it's something that you should be preaching to your defensive line, but I don't know how much every team does it. I know DeForest Buckner might be one of those guys that's mentioning it because he's 6'7", so for him to throw his hands up, you got 7 foot of reach there. So, um, yeah, it's just one of those tough things. I mean, we're not close to any players, so it'd be one of those tough things where we can't really tell them. But hopefully, they're preaching it. And again, like we said, with so much changes and stuff like that, as far as whoa, what a catch! God damn. With players, with the situation with Grover, I think that has changed a lot for us across the defensive line, and guys just gotta get back into it. We're playing with rookie and Adatami Adabare, and then our other guy, defensive tackle, as well. So just switching guys out, sometimes they're not always thinking about everything that they can do to try and change a play. So hopefully they can, man. Don't feed into it, Willie. Just kind of let dude do his thing, man. Um, Zach is jumping on here saying Colts are the most penalized team in the NFL, I think, but I
I
do
wouldn't doubt
believe
it.
it's how aggressive Shane wants the Colts to play. Uh, yeah, I don't have that with me right now, but yeah, man, I think this is one of those things where we just got to take advantage. So just looking at some stuff right here on the Panthers, um, they what is it? So they've only converted 39 of 99 third downs, 5 for 14 on fourth down. So they really have not been good. Um, 4.3 yards per play on average, so that favors us. 3.8 yards per rush, that favors us. Just one of those things, and they've given up 25 sacks. So we need to take advantage of all of those. And they're in a -2 in the turnover differential. So one of those things that we need to take advantage of when we come in and see this team. And just kind of make plays, man. We got to make plays, take advantage of a bad football team in all reality.
I agree, 100%. I like. I know Zach just kind of chimed in here to David's comment regarding the offensive line last year. And if they didn't like Matt Ryan, if you want to pull that comment up. Um, I thought that was I think that's a good question. I think Zach's response is perfect. I think mobile quarterback play and coaching, someone playing for, helps all those factors help. May you say? What do you say here, DeMarco?
Yeah, David's saying, speaking of the O line, do you think last year's O line didn't like Matt Ryan and company? Not much change between now and then, but they're playing so much better. So, me personally, I think I give all the credit to Tony Sperano Jr. Straight up, like I don't think anything else needs to be said for much from there because, like you said, not much has changed. I don't think any offensive line is going to hate their quarterback enough to not block for him. Hell, the offensive line for the Browns blocked for Deshaun Watson, and most people hate Deshaun Watson at this point in time. And even Russell Wilson last year, you've seen some guys giving him kind of a side eye, but at the end of the day, you're getting paid to do a job, and if you look terrible at doing your job, another team is not going to pay you. So I don't think it has to do anything with that. I think just the offensive line coach that we had, if you look over at, I believe he went to Houston, and their offensive line was playing absolutely terrible. And then Frank Wright going over to Carolina, and guess what followed? A bad offensive line. And I mean, it wasn't much good before, but at the end of the day, I think this offensive line room, Ryan Kelly said it plenty of times, a voice just gets stale and old. And
Well said.
you can kind of just see that it falls off. And I think Tony Sperano has came in, and also he's changed some of the scheme. We were just run gap scheme all the damn time.
You see more zone blocking schemes now.
Yeah, and so that's exactly what they're running over there in Carolina, and it has not worked as well. So it's just one of those situations where I think our offensive line coach has changed a lot for us, David. Yeah, Nathan is saying here, defense win championships and defense has regressed under Bradley. I mean, they played harder for Eberflus. Um, I think Eberflus just connected to players better personally. I mean, Gus actually connects pretty well with guys as well. So, I mean, I think it's just the scheme and then the fact of how many players that we've lost and keep losing. I mean, I said this before, I want to say back a couple weeks when we had Juju and Jalen Jones as our two starting corners. And I was telling these guys, I was like, hey, we're one injury away or two injuries away from having Baker and,
Yeah.
and Baker and whoever else getting burnt at corner. So I think it's just one of those situations where yeah, players might not exactly fit his scheme, which is why I would say to everybody keep your eyes on Shaq tomorrow. Zaire Franklin is likely out and will not play, which is mean EJ Speed and Shaq Leonard will be getting pretty much full snaps at that linebacking core. So hopefully, um, Shaq can, Gus can get him off a leash and let him play how he plays because I think that's the biggest thing for him is the scheme is not fitting him the way it did with Flus.
100%.
Zach is saying here, oh, he's coming back on that O line thing. He was saying, I think it's better coaching and having a mobile QB helps cover up issues that Matt Ryan couldn't do with his legs consistently. Also, I think scheme has a lot to do with it. Yeah, that's big time too as well because if you think about Matt Ryan being a statue versus Gardner Minshew who can move a little bit, you can't just sit there and crash the pocket on him every time because Minshew can beat you. And also, Matt Ryan's arm was like it wasn't really there. So
No,
so
we saw his his performance on the field too. It doesn't help.
yeah, team's
Um,
just gonna crash the pocket on you and keep you there.
Willie, we're glad to have you on here. Thank you for your comment. Yes, we are new to ZTV. We've been a podcast here now going on 4 years. So we've been around here for a little bit. Recently joined ZTV officially last week, DeMarco, right?
Yes,
Last week being the
yes.
first episode. So hey, glad to have you in here. And go Colts too, man. On the back end of that. So
Yeah, Nathan is saying here, why has the defense regressed under Bradley? Honestly, I think is players needing to buy into his system because from what they've came from before with Flus, you seen Kenny Moore what happened to him the other year. He just didn't really believe in it, didn't want to kind of battle the back against what he felt like Gus Bradley was asking him to do. And when he went all in and trusted Gus Bradley's scheme, look at Kenny Moore get back to himself. So I think it has a lot to do with players trusting and believe they're being put in the right position. I think that's why it has regressed a lot. There's been a lot of back and forth with it, and then you also look at what's going on with Shaq and his injury and stuff like that. So players just got to buy in and truly believe, and at the same time, talent is going to take you a long way with
yes, it
that
will.
coaching. And so I just think some of those things that players got to believe in, they're probably just not trusting it as much. And then also just a lot of it, we've been weaker at corner for a lot of it as well. Because if you look back at last year, our pass defense was very good, and our pass rush was the weakness. So a lot of it is just some of the players we have that are playing in the scheme as well.
100%. I mean, and just like you said with the offensive line coach as well, when it's week over week with no adjustments, the same old spill, it gets annoying, and it becomes tiring, especially whenever your side of the ball is giving it up on the back end. So I agree with you 100% here, DeMarco.
Yeah, exactly. And then just like Marlene is saying, it seems when we play, they don't play with an edge. It's like they're just playing to play. Seems like when teams get ready to play us, they get happy. Yeah, I've said this before as well. Just because it's like our offense, I'll say our offense definitely plays with an edge. They play like every down is their last. They're playing to be hungry. But if you look at some of our defensive plays, we guys come in thinking they're about to have a field day, and I think that's a big problem, man. And that used to be one of those things. If you look back at the old school style of football versus today's game, you can go out and knock somebody's heads off to let them know, like, hey, this ain't finna be one of those days for you, which is totally different now. And guys just kind of eat when they see a bad defense, and they kind of know that, hey, I'm coming to tear you apart. And it's kind of one of those things that teams just look at us and Like, hey man, one of us gonna have a field day today, and I think that's got to be something that stops, man. I called it before against the Ravens, and us not giving up a big receiver in one of those games. Matt thought Zay Jones was going to go crazy, or not Zay Jones. Zay Flowers was going to go crazy in that game, and I kind of thought we would hold it down there. So if we can, get back to playing some good defense, get these corners into a solid position where they can start, communicating and being on the field together a lot more. I think it'll be one of those situations that can work itself out. So hopefully we can get that fixed this week because, we got to put pressure on this offensive line. They're terrible. It's not like much has changed there. We got to start taking advantage. Just like teams want to come tear apart our secondary, we got to start tearing. We got to do the same thing to other teams and take advantage of them. Here, do you think the defensive players are tired of playing defense under Gus? I wouldn't say all of them. I know Shaq is. You can see the look on Shaq's face. He's tired of being on a pitch count. I guess you'd probably have to ask him for how the scheme fits him or how he feels what he's seeing and whatnot. I don't necessarily think it's players tired of playing under Gus. I think players are just one of those situations. They're going to believe in results. So if a coach comes in and he's showing you stuff and teaching you stuff and telling you this is what we got to do, if players see the results, they're going to believe in it. If players aren't seeing the results, they're going to look at you like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not seeing it. This isn't what worked for me before. And if you look at this Colts defense, that a lot of the people in that front seven, it has all been very, it's been veterans. So they need results, man.
Winning is a cure, man. Winning cures everything.
Yeah, so that's what I personally believe there. But real quick, let's get into locks real quick. I believe Zach's lock was. Do you remember who we had? Sorry, everybody. Damn, I forgot. Who are you locking this week, Damon?
Yeah, let me get mine pulled back up. But I had the Ravens over the Seahawks. I think that the Ravens right now are one of the hottest teams in the league. They have put it together. They're playing white hot right now. Really liking what I'm seeing out of them. Did you know Lamar Jackson is like 15 or 16-1?
17-1 versus NFC teams.
NFC teams. And the Seahawks were the only ones that got him, I think they said, right? The Seahawks were the only one team.
I'm not sure who the one team was.
So.
All right. And then Zach had locked Miami over KC. That's a tough lock right there, my guy. All right. And then Matt locked the Chiefs over the Dolphins. So we got a conflicting lock there. And then Trev was going Raiders. He's locking the Raiders to beat the Giants. Let me see real quick. And then my lock was going to be the Cleveland Browns over the Arizona Cardinals. That was going to be my lock. It's my lock there, man.
Clayton Tune's starting this week, right? Yeah. I had to think about that one for a second.
Yeah, they say Kyler Murray is supposed to be back on the 12th. So shout out to him. Great recovery. Made it back from that ACL, man. If he's ready to go, I did pick him up in one of my fantasy league too. So hopefully he come back and he can do his thing and help me get to the playoffs. Because man, Anthony Richardson had me riding high, bro. He's giving me 29, 30 points a game. So I need my guy back. So hopefully Kyler Murray can step up and give me a little something. All right. So let's go keys. What are your 3 keys tomorrow for our Indianapolis Colts to beat the Carolina Panthers and our former coach, Frank Wright?
Yeah. Rushing attack's got to be aggressive. One, I'm getting back to it. You know what I mean? Rushing attack has got to be aggressive. An aggressive rushing attack, a great rushing attack will open up passing lanes, take some pressure off your quarterback. Two, quit playing behind the chains, play clean. The dumb penalties, the false starts, the holds. I mean, we're not even getting held with these holds on like little dink and dunks. I mean, these are like 20, 30-yard plays that we're getting caught up with holds on. They're killing us. They're drive killers. We're playing behind the chains. And then third of all, I mean, we just got to see a great pass rush here, playing up against a battered, not so great offensive line, rookie quarterback. We just got to get home quick.
For sure. So I'm gonna get back to my roots of the locks, man. No turnovers. I thought we would have no margin for error. I mean, have a little bit more margin for error with the New Orleans Saints last week, and that just didn't turn out to work in our favor, man. We gotta have no turnovers. We gotta stop. We gotta stop giving the ball to other teams and letting them score because we just shouldn't have to keep putting up 28 points a game. So no turnovers. Then number two, run the ball, run the hell out of the ball. Like it's got to look like the game. I want to say versus Cleveland where we had 24 passes and 40 rushes. Got to get back to running the ball. Run the ball. Number three is going to be defensive line. Create pressure. We need to get back to creating pressure and being one of the best front sevens in the league, like we started out as. Whatever we got to do to get there. I need Kwity Paye. I need Samson Ebukam. I need you guys to turn up and get that going, man. So those are the keys from me and Damon.
It's
Looks
funny
like
you read
Damon.
these comments though because we see so much of the same. Like, we expect the exact same things and want the same exact things out of the team. So that's when it gets a little more upsetting to me. You know what I mean?
Man, for real. Yeah, David's saying run the ball, pressure from defensive line, and then use the tight ends. It would be nice to see them get back involved a little bit. I want to see what Jelani Woods is going to look like in this offense, man. I'm been hurting to see that guy, man. I mean, them hamstrings, boy. I mean, that's a rough one for how long they've been out. And then Christina saying Gardner Minshew, no turnovers. Completely agree. Yeah, so that'd be our three keys for the game. Obviously, this is a huge one for us. You know, we're 3-5. We're sitting right on that edge. You get to 6 losses. Obviously, this AFC conference is going to be very competitive, but we already see too many teams that are far above ahead of us. I guess we'll see how this game goes next week to see if we answer the question that I got for you guys next week. Hopefully, you got more guys on. Actually, I'm gonna be a little later next week. But basically, I'll just put it out there now, just in case for whoever's gonna be out is after this game, if we were to perhaps lose, is it tank or do we continue to try and push for the playoffs? So that'd be something for next week. Hopefully we can get a win because we need to get a win, man. We need to stay in a race.
I don't think tanking is an answer because what are we tanking for, man? Marvin Harrison Jr. I unfortunately think that we've already won too many games to be in that sweepstakes. I think that we are too good of a team to win, to not like it won't work out. Like we won't get him. So that question comes to what are we tanking for?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no pass rusher in the draft I'm completely sold on outside of maybe Curse from Florida State. Like
I don't even think he's in the top.
And he's sliding.
Top 7.
He's sliding.
So that wouldn't be the one. I mean, I think it's time to get top tier talent, maybe at receiver or corner, because if you can get a top tier corner in the draft, you know, as long as they're still going to be one of those guys that can come in and make plays immediately. But also, I mean, I don't want to sleep on pass rusher too much because if you can get a game changing pass rusher or we get one in free agency, I'm not sure. But more so a question for next week.
Yes.
Depending on how this game goes. But let's go ahead and we'll wrap up here after this one. Last one we're going to do predictions for this week. What do you got? What's your score? Who wins? It's in Carolina.
Yeah, I got it 21-22 us. I think it's
22.
I think it's gonna be a nail biter. You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be a nail biter. my expectations for this team probably aren't going to change until I see it completely on the field. You know what I mean? I don't expect to see anything crazy different. I think we've seen some of Shane's play designs become a little bit more vanilla as his offense and health aspect has kind of dwindled over the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to say 21-22 us personally.
Okay. Yeah, so just like I told the guys, the guys at Horseshoe Mob, I thought they were bold for going under 20. So I think that trend is going to continue. I don't see our defense getting some immediate fixing. So I'm going to go. It's going to be a 26-23 Colts. That would be my score. That I think that's pretty close for our average on offense for what we score. Obviously, we ain't held anybody under 20 in a while, so I think the Panthers get over that mark. But I think we can make just enough plays to be able to get the win. 26-23 Colts for me. Damon had it 22-21. We didn't get predictions from other guys. Real quick here, Mark said, side note, do you do Pacers talk?
We have some potential for that.
We're working on some other another show that we're gonna kind of do as a sidebar to this one. We got 2 Pacers fans in our chat, so we'll try and get to that when we can. It's just tough to find time, man. It's just so busy to try and get some time.
And I'll tell you what, if you would as well, Mark. I mean, if we do something like that, it's going to be a weeknight show. Obviously, we can't run 2 shows on the weekends. It's just not very efficient for us. It will more or less be a weeknight show. And even if it's 15 to 30 minutes long, would you like that, or would y'all think that people would like that? We're all big basketball heads here as well, baseball, hockey. So we're definitely sports fanatics in its own. But we definitely have some things kind of under wraps that we've been thinking about rolling out that we talked about even last year as well.
For sure. And then David's going 23-20 Colts. And Christina's going 24-21 Colts. So appreciate you, my guy Damon, for making it on, me not having to go on the show by myself. But appreciate everybody who came out tonight, including the Bengals fan that was in here, first-time visitor, and everybody else who jumped in. Appreciate all of you guys continuing to come in and show support for us. Please like, subscribe, share on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. Also on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Appreciate all of you guys. Just keep it coming for us. We'll continue to keep putting out content for you guys. Thanks, everybody, and go Colts.
Go Colts, everybody. Nice.
Second down, he fakes the Taylor, fires over the middle, completes.